To my surprise, the person using Anna's credit card was a man. Could it be that I've made a mistake? Impossible. Surely in this human taco case, Amila has an accomplice.
Looks like it's time to catch the nasty little mouse.
Amila, how did she come back so soon? I quickly hid in one of the rooms. Whatever Amila's words meant, my instincts told me that if she caught me, nothing good would come of it. She entered the room, her footsteps growing louder as she got closer to my hiding spot. I held my breath, heart pounding, but thankfully she didn't seem interested in checking the wardrobe. I wanted to escape this house as fast as I could, but just then, a notebook caught my eye. This was exactly what I had been looking for. I nervously opened the notebook. On the very first page, I saw a photo of Amila, and that man, Frank. My suspicions were spot on. They were indeed connected, though it seemed there was no marital tie between them. The notebook was like Pandora's box. The deeper I delved, the more horrifying truths came to light. The caster cult had indeed been sacrificing victims and eating their flesh. They even took photos to document their achievements. All the missing victims had been turned into their food. It was beyond disgusting. At that moment, the wardrobe door burst open without warning. The sudden flood of light blinded me.
Found the little mischievous mouse.
My heart raced wildly. Acting on instinct, I mustered every bit of training I had from the police academy and attacked the two figures in front of me to try and escape. But my strength alone wasn't enough. I was facing two serial killers. Frank's biceps wrapped tightly around my neck, the searing pain making it feel as though my neck could snap at any moment. I struggled in vain, my vision dimming until everything faded to black. I had no idea how long I'd been unconscious. When I woke up, my whole body ached and my head was spinning. But the figure standing before me snapped me back to full awareness.
Finally awake. I've been waiting for you for a long time.
Joel, you scared me. Did our team manage to capture Frank and Amila? Why am I here? Why was Joel here? Did he save me? But why bring me to this place? This looked like a human slaughterhouse. Joel, can you get me out of here first?
You're too naive. Haven't you wondered how Amila found you so quickly?
Get away from me, you freak!
You little wretch. You filthy outsider. Only the purified followers of Caster are worthy of leading this world. The rest of you, you're nothing but reserve stock for us.
You're insane. People like you are the ones who deserve to be eliminated by society and punished by the law. At that moment, Frank and Amila entered the room.
High Priest, is everything all right?
High Priest, are you hurt?
I've made my decision. This sinner here will be the next sacrifice for the day of sharing. Until then, make her suffer and atone for all of us.
Excellent. Let this sinner become divine sustenance to cleanse us.
For the sake of population control and purification!
I was terrified and utterly helpless. The people I was facing were no longer human. They were bloodthirsty monsters. They dressed me in a white gown and tied me to a large pillar. I looked like a helpless lamb awaiting slaughter. Then the butcher appeared, holding a thin blade and a silver platter. A chilling dread enveloped me. All I could do was scream in terror, but my cries seemed to excite him even more. With a swift, precise cut, he treated me like a giant block of cheese to be carved and scraped at his will. I was still alive, but it was a fragile existence, sustained only until the day of sharing. And with all the hatred Joel harbored for me, each day dragged on in agony. To them, I was nothing more than a substitute offering, a vessel for their so-called atonement. Finally, the day of sharing has arrived. I can no longer distinguish whether this marks the end of my days of suffering or the beginning of my ultimate torment. With all my remaining strength, I began my crazy plan of revenge. No matter the cost, I would not let those evil people get what they wanted. With a bottle of rust remover and some iron filings, I would create a deadly poison that would destroy me, but would also drag those who had harmed me to hell. The demons entered the room, but I was no longer afraid.
We offer this sinner as a sacrifice for atonement, so that we and those who consume her flesh may be cleansed of sin.
You can laugh now. Soon, my flesh and blood will kill you all.
Ore Lumina.
Ore Luminar.
Ore Luminar.
Ore Luminar.
The tacos made from my flesh will poison your customers. The police will come for you soon. I close my eyes with a satisfied smile, as if somewhere in the distance I hear the sound of police sirens, growing louder, enveloping me. They called me Piggy. Not Peggy, not my real name, but Piggy. Because why not? They said it suited me better. A pig in a human's body, rolling in the mud of my own existence. I laughed along at first, pretending it didn't sting when Hannah joked about me breaking a chair in the cafeteria, or when Derek snorted every time I walked by. But no amount of pretending could dull the edge of their cruelty.
Hey, Piggy, you should thank us. At least we're giving you a personality.
Mia said once, smirking as she pointed at my reflection in the school's bathroom mirror. Their laughter echoed in my ears long after they left. I stared at the figure in the mirror, a round, soft girl with puffy cheeks and arms that seemed to expand beyond the frame. I hated her, hated myself, but not as much as I hated them. That's when I found the clinic. The flyer was tucked under the windshield of my old bike. Revolutionary body contouring, fat removal made affordable. The words felt like they were screaming at me. The clinic was tiny and unassuming, hidden in a crumbling building at the edge of the city. Dr. Tran greeted me with a smile that felt too wide, too eager.
You'll love the results,
she promised, her gloved hand gesturing toward a sleek hospital bed in the corner of the room. The procedure was simple, or so she claimed. A vacuum-like device would suck the fat straight out of my body, sculpting me into a thinner, more beautiful version of myself. But it wasn't simple. As the machine roared to life, I felt a searing pain rip through my calf. The fat bubbled and hissed, travelling through translucent tubes into a container that filled too quickly. My skin shrank behind it, sagging like a deflated balloon.
Don't worry,
Dr. Tran said, her voice almost cheerful.
We'll trim the excess skin. It's very valuable, you know. Perfect for burn victims and reconstructive surgery.
I was too woozy to care. They cut away the loose folds and stitched me up. When I looked in the mirror, my calves were smooth, almost sculpted. For the first time in years, I felt hopeful. Hope was fleeting. When I returned to school, the bullying didn't stop. It evolved.
Whoa, check it out.
Hannah sneered, pointing at my uneven legs.
Piggy's trying to become a Franken pig.
They laughed harder, louder. Derek made oinking noises, and Mia asked if I planned to sell the rest of my body for spare parts. My calves looked slimmer, yes, but the rest of me was still a patchwork of rolls and folds. That night, I booked another appointment. This time, it was my face and neck, then my arms. Each time, the pain was worse. The machine sucked and gurgled, pulling pieces of me away, leaving behind a body that felt foreign. Dr. Tran's assistants whispered in hushed tones about how my skin was exceptional. They always seemed more excited than they should have been.
You're doing such a good thing,
one nurse said as she packed my discarded skin into vacuum-sealed bags.
So many patients will benefit from your donations.
Donations? I hadn't signed up for charity. But when they waved away my bills, assuring me that my contributions covered the costs, I didn't complain. Then I had an idea. Why stop with just removing my fat? Why not use my newfound value to teach them a lesson? The plan unfolded in my mind like a perfect script. It started with Derek. I waited for him outside the gym, clutching the bottle of acid I'd bought online. One quick splash, and his screams filled the parking lot. Next was Mia, then Hannah. Each of them writhed under the burning chemical, their once perfect faces and bodies turning into melted canvases of raw, exposed flesh. But I wasn't done. Feigning concern, I rushed them to the clinic. Dr. Tran examined their injuries, her lips tightening.
We don't have enough graftable skin for all of them.
She said, shaking her head.
Not unless...
Her eyes flicked to me. I knew what she was thinking. They begged. Hannah, whose words once cut me deeper than any scalpel, clasped her blistered hands together and sobbed.
Please, Peggy, we'll pay anything. Just help us.
Derek offered his entire savings. Mia couldn't even speak. Her tongue had been burned, but her tear-filled eyes said enough. I suppose I can spare some, I said, pretending to hesitate. I scheduled the procedure for my stomach. As the machine sucked out the last vestiges of my once round belly, I imagined their faces, their desperation. Dr. Tran's team worked tirelessly to graft my skin onto their wounds. The process was excruciating. For them, of course. They screamed as the stitches pulled tight, as my flesh fused with theirs. I watched from the observation window, biting back laughter. But even after sacrificing so much, it wasn't enough.
You'll need more,
Dr. Tran explained.
Their injuries are too extensive.
That's when the arrangement began. My former tormentors, now grotesque patchworks of my flesh, started feeding me. They brought calorie-dense meals, forcing me to eat until my stomach ached. I gained weight quickly, my body swelling back to its old size. But this time I didn't mind. The more I grew, the more they suffered. They watched with hollow eyes as I laid on the table again and again, their futures quite literally growing on my skin. Now, we live in a fragile truce. Hannah, Derek, and Mia hover around me, desperate to keep me alive, healthy, fat. They need me. I'm their savior, their supplier, their punishment, and I've never felt more beautiful. Finally, I got to live in the form that I designed and ordered myself, a soft, flexible, and healthy body. Even though this body is artificial and this miraculous product is just an experimental version, I am still willing to take the risk. Take a rest, Louis. Lily will definitely take the role of the Swan Queen for you. And also Thomas. Thomas is the person I have secretly admired for over 10 years. We practically grew up together in the practice room, but Thomas is the best. He was chosen by the director for the lead male role, and now he and the director are looking for the lead female role. Last month I got injured during practice, and I lost the chance to share the stage with Thomas. In my most desperate moment, I found the Mimeticore and created a Lily for myself. Now, seeing the surprise in Thomas's eyes, I feel a bit excited. Will he recognize me?
Hello, Lily. Please perform your piece.
I repeated every move from memory, every step, every spin flowed smoothly on Lily's feet, as if I had always been Lily. And I really did it. The director chose me for the lead female role. The performance will take place in 2 months. Thomas and I need to practice together a lot to quickly increase our chemistry. I feel that Thomas always keeps his distance and silently observes me. Finally, he asked about my earrings. These are the earrings Thomas gave me when I was Louis, but I never dared to wear them until I became Lily. But in front of Thomas, I could only explain that I bought these earrings myself. I saw a hint of disappointment in Thomas's eyes as he turned away. A bad feeling arose in my heart.
A week of practice quickly passed, and I returned to being Louis. Looking at the face I meticulously designed lying in front of me, I felt overwhelming happiness. Lily is the life I have always dreamed of. I used the excuse of family matters to ask to practice at home for a week. So, Thomas texted to check on me. I was delighted that Thomas seemed to be getting closer to Lily, and at the same time a bit of jealousy began to grow. I recklessly practiced ballet, using the pain to remind myself that Louis is my true identity, my real life, and ballet is the greatest passion of my life. But the more I did that, the more pathetic I felt. I had to accept the truth that I needed Lily.
I returned to the practice room, confidently striding onto the stage. The moves that Louis couldn't do, Lily could easily perform perfectly. Receiving Thomas's recognition made me even more convinced that using the miraculous substance was absolutely right. I wanted to stay in Lily's body forever, or at least until the performance was over. The first time I broke the 7-day rule was when I had to attend the launch party organised by the director. I comforted myself, thinking I just needed to play the role of Lily for a few more hours.
But when I woke up, I had to pay the price for my greed. Looking at my aged legs, I screamed in pain. My dancing career under the name Louis was officially over. I frantically called the supplier, but only received a cold response.
Remember, you are one, respect the balance, and there will be no more incidents.
I fell into a deep crisis. My dream of standing on stage had vanished. But I still have Lily. As long as I have Lily, I still have a chance to be the proud swan soaring on stage.
I decided to break the rule, to have the perfect moment on stage. I was willing to pay the price, even if it was my life. The side effects of the elixir have begun to appear. Despite having injected enough marrow fluid, Lily's body occasionally undergoes self-destruction reactions. I have contacted the elixir supplier, but only received the response that my clone is not highly compatible with the original body, so the effectiveness of the medicine is also reduced. Finally, the performance day has arrived, but before going on stage, my body encountered a problem. I intended to continue injecting spinal fluid, but the reserve has run out. I am not willing to give up. In just a few hours, I will achieve my dream. I must replenish the spinal fluid immediately. Seeing the festering sores on Louis's back, I couldn't help but feel heartbroken. However, I was determined to seize this performance opportunity. I extracted Louis's marrow fluid, but what came out was an unusually dark red colour. Worried, I called the supplier and was told that I had to perform the transfer immediately. Louis's body needed to regenerate the marrow fluid. I couldn't think too much about it. What I needed was a healthy body to complete the performance. I recklessly injected the dark red fluid into myself. Wearing the white dress I had always dreamed of, I confidently stepped onto the biggest stage of my life. The grand performance was a success. Under the stage lights, I became the white swan I had always longed to be. At this moment, I knew I had achieved the perfection I had always sought. I mustered all my courage to confess my feelings to Thomas. But he only gave a sad smile. He told me that the person he loves is Louis, and that the initial reason he noticed me was because I resembled Louis so much. My heart felt like it was being pierced. In that moment, I felt as if the whole world was mocking me. The self-destruction reaction appeared again, and I had to return, deciding to swap with Louis once more.
When I woke up in Louis's body, an overwhelming sense of emptiness enveloped me. Now my dream of standing on stage had been achieved. I had also heard the confession from the person I had always secretly loved. I thought I had nothing left to regret. I was ready to accept myself, no matter how flawed this body might be. I saw Lily's body begin to disintegrate, pieces of flesh falling away just like my dream of another life gradually fading. I restarted the phone I hadn't dared to use for a long time. As soon as it turned on, a series of messages from Thomas popped up, shocking me. It turned out he missed me just as much. I urgently wanted to hear Thomas's voice. Thomas immediately answered the phone, and I could feel the joy in his voice. Each word of concern made my heart race.
Lewis, I like you, no matter what form you take.
Me too. The words of agreement had not yet been spoken when a disgusting, slimy substance from Lily's body came to attack me. I felt that slime trying to engulf me. In my head, I heard the devils whisper,
"You are one."
Lewis? Lewis? Are you okay? Lewis?